Friend001 and welcome to STRAT Chat. It's been a while since I've done any recording whatsoever, and there is some explanation to that. My computer recently died. Luckily, it was warranted, so I was able to actually take it back because it was also recalled. Fun! So, did that, had to go through the whole process to get a new computer and everything, and that is why I haven't done any videos or pretty much any Strat Chat for a while, and then once I got it, I had, of course, finals, and basically spent this entire past week working on huge 80-plus hour projects for college, so, yeah, fun stuff. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about the tank misconceptions. I did write down main tank. I might touch into just basic tank in general. But yeah, tank misconception would be a lot helpful, especially for people who aren't used to team play main tank, which is drastically different. So yeah, if you're watching on Twitch, welcome, congratulations, you're here. You're here live. If you have any questions, just go ahead and ask them in the chat, and I'll make sure to respond, answering any questions you have, even if it's off topic. I'll answer them. If you're watching on YouTube, I do post these on YouTube for people to watch back. And you have questions, I'll answer them there too. I'm pretty responsive just because I prefer to actually reply to all YouTube stuff, and I don't get a lot of YouTube comments in general, so I just go through them all. Except ones that are kind of bad, but you know, whatever. You know the whole deal. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I should probably go into an actual... Let's go into a custom game to actually explain this one out. Let's see, create. Let's do the new Blizzworld. Winter Blizzworld. Gotta love it.
Welcome to Blizzard World.
Okay, so the main tank misconception. Let's go ahead and start out with the obvious main tank of them all, Reinhardt. So why am I explaining like main tank and how there's a misconception? And the reason is all the way back from when Overwatch first came out. When Overwatch first came out, the main idea was that you had a main tank, boom, and that was Reinhardt. That was pretty much it. You had Reinhardt as the main tank. This was all the way back in old times in beta and alpha, was that Reinhardt was pretty much what you had, and you ran a very close together comp called Deathball, which is still named today. Granted, Deathball is kind of merged because people realize, wait, Deathball isn't that good in general because you're all close together and you're just gonna die. So there has been some changes through it, and we've gotten stuff like Rushdown comp, we've gotten quad tank, we've gotten just a 2-2-2 comp, we've gotten goats out of it. Basically, Reinhardt has been the guy, and the reason behind all of this is because and honestly, I imagine a big portion of why the whole tank lineup was like you need this in it is just because you have that resource. A lot of the characters in Overwatch do kill very fast, and so it doesn't really matter too much to do a tank. Granted, it gives you a couple extra seconds. So the main reason was for choke points like this one. Blizzard specifically made choke points to exactly fit his shield, as you can see right here. I picked a map and I just walked to a random spot. So the idea is that Reinhardt could just block and you could get yourself into position. So like, let's say we were pushing in and we were going around this direction. We basically are blocking for the high ground and all that spot. We go into here, shield recharges, we rotate around to a different spot, and we move on. That's the main idea for main tank, pretty much, is that you hold up a shield and you protect your team. Well, the definition of main tank is kind of moved around. Let me fix something real quick. There we go. Shut the door. Made it easier. A lot quieter. So yeah, the idea of main tank has kind of morphed a little bit, and my definition of main tank is creating an area for your team to go to, having that ability. So for example, people were talking about the anchor tank with Orisa and Reinhardt, where you have people around you and you can create a safe space for your team to be in. Now, it's not always just about having a safe space. It's more about having your team with you and denying space from the enemy team. So, in some cases, you then have to ask yourself a very interesting question of why do we play? Why are we playing like Reinhardt? So, like, so we're playing Reinhardt. This is a common thing, and I have seen this a couple times. Of okay, why does this team play Winston in a GOATS comp sometimes? It's actually a lot easier than you think. If you're thinking of a GOATS comp, you need to get into position fairly fast and safe. So if they are up on the high ground over there, you want to be able to speed boost through this side and get up into here to contest, or you go around that side. And basically the idea is it's really difficult for you to actually stay in these choke points and survive. That's why you would have a shield tank, is to protect you in that scenario. Now it then moves us on to questions of which main tank do you use. And in some maps, let's actually switch maps. Let's go to, what's a good map for an example? Control points are pretty... do this. Control points are actually a good example of this. Let me see if I can find it. Ilios, Lijiang, Nepal. Let's just do Nepal. So we'll explain this in reference to Nepal, along with the whole main tank idea.
Traveling to Nepal.
So always think of, when you're playing a main tank, always think of when you actually need that shield up. So for example, we're pushing through here and there's no one here, usually straight out of spawn. You don't need the shield. Nope, don't need the shield, don't need the shield, don't need the shield. Okay, we can go left or right. Left, we go out here. Okay, we're gonna need a shield somehow. If we go right, we're not gonna need a shield immediately. Of course, we have Garrett on our group. Oh, and Garrett's in the chat, but he's not talking.
Oh, no, I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, okay. It's okay. But yeah, so like on this right side indoors, the idea is that you won't really need the shield that much, and then once you get out here, it's that whole pressure mechanic, and Reinhardt removes pressure. Same way on the left side. This is why Orisa is used in this, is because you don't really need to move the shield that much, because you're not going to be moving the shield into a position to take space. You just drop it down here, boom, and you shoot. Easier for her because you don't have to move the shield. There's not a lot of places to move a shield. But like, let's say, for example, we're running a squad where we're wanting to push up this left side. If we have to push up this left side, we want a shield to push with. And of course, our team protecting. So there's all these different stuff you can do to mitigate the damage. And so this style is a lot of damage mitigation. Let me switch over to Orisa to further show this. And I do want to mention I am going through a lot of the simplest parts of a main tank, and then I'll go through all the misconceptions and stuff like that. But yeah, like Orisa, you don't need the shield here, so she's safe to just walk. It's all good. And in a lot of cases, you only need a Reinhardt shield if you're moving a team in to a position, and it's hard to get that team into position without the shield. So Reinhardt's shield is a travel barrier. Orisa's shield is a position barrier. So she creates a position here, and she shoots. You are not moving from this spot whatsoever. Now you can do some other things where you pre-plan where you need your shield to go. So you shoot like right there, boom. And also, by the way, that is a trick to shoot Orisa's barriers. Shoot it against a wall, and it'll drop straight down next to it, and you can actually use it. And the smaller the barrier, technically, the less damage it should be taking, because it's, of course, in a smaller area, and it's a lot less to actually shoot. So like boom, right here. See, we are staying here. We don't need to move into a position. That's where people kind of get a little like off about the whole main tank thing, is you're not really, in some cases, you're not needing to push. That's why you have Orisa. Is if Orisa's needing to keep space, she just puts her barrier down here, she shoots, we deal damage out, their team retreats, and then the Orisa pops out here, puts down barrier, and starts, of course, shooting. And she just stays here until everything else is cleared, and then she can pop down right into here. And then hold the point, bunker comp, and all that stuff. She's not moving to get in position because she also has ranged attack as well. That's why I really like Orisa. Otherwise, let's go to Winston. Winston is, and this is where we come back to the Winston Goats comp. So Winston at the moment is a character that in a lot of cases is a crutch. And the reason why I say it's a crutch is because in a lot of instances, Hammond does a better job than Winston. And now hear me out before you completely like blow up. Hammond does a better job than Winston because Hammond is basically Winston's ultimate at will, as well as the factor of he has a higher mobility. But the problem is he's much more difficult to use. At the moment, even at the pro level, they're flubbing jumps and they're not consistent on Hammond, and that's why they jump over to Winston. It's because Winston for them is a lot more consistent. It's the same reason why Mercy was played over Ana, but it's a lot more difficult than just aiming. Hammond, you have to aim as well as have a good trajectory when moving, and all of that stuff. We will cover that. But the idea when you run a Hammond, and well, when you run a Winston or Hammond in place of the other main tank, is you are not moving a team. So you're not a traveler and you're not an anchor. That is something pretty big. In those cases, you are not anchoring into a position, you're not standing on the point and contesting point that often. You'll do it occasionally, but that is not your strategy. Likewise, you're not helping your team to get through except for body blocking. That's the best you can do. But ideally, what you want to be doing with a Winston or Hammond comp is you want to be peeking corners. This is why I also like Hammond a lot more, is Hammond can actually peek corners without actually looking outside. And in a lot of cases, a team wins if they are able to poke down the enemy tank, because the tank is constantly peeking out and trying to scout out for the enemy team. So for example, if we're playing Winston here, our idea is we want to pick a target, find a vulnerable target, get into position near instantly. And that is why Winston jumps. So, for example, in this situation, this area we do not want to stand in because, of course, we're going to die. So we need to jump in between cover. This is the difference between a regular main tank and a dive main tank. As a regular main tank helps the team get from one place to another or creates cover. It's about creating cover. But a Winston, contrary to popular belief, is not a shield tank. Winston is a tank with a shield, but does not fill the same role as a shield tank by creating that help. Mainly because his barrier is very small. Only 600 hit point and can just get burned through. Garen, I'm actually going to switch you to the other team so that we can have better examples and stuff like that. But yeah, what you want to be doing is you want to be jumping in between cover and using this cover. You're not getting shot. You're peeking to see where, oh, okay, they're up over there on that, up behind there at the top of the stairs. We jump over here. Wow, I flubbed that majorly. But yeah, you're getting into position very fast. Now the shield for Winston is basically used for we drop down a shield, and if a support or someone else is outside of this barrier or inside this barrier, they can't affect anything outside because of shield block with a lot of support players. Or you can use it to block so that you can't get hooked by a Roadhog hook, and you can block yourself out and create a distance. Now you can see that barrier dropped really, really fast. And it's really just simple. So you're not wanting to go, okay, we need to get to this area. I'm going to drop this shield here so I don't get shot. And then we're going to contest point. Oh, no, we're going to die. That is a waste of a shield. What you want to be using is you want to be behind in position. Let me get some health. But you want to scout out. So we're scouting out. Oh, there's a soldier up there. Okay, let's rotate around the right side here. We're going to rotate into position. And then we are going to jump. Flub it. I suck.
Oh, you got him. Oh.
Of course when it happens. But basically the main idea... I've been flubbing jumps today. That was 2 in a row. Man. I need to play Winston more often then. I'm used to the Hammond swinging a bit differently, I guess, or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, we have position there. We jump. And then now right here, we block him out. We dance in between the barrier, which gets us more health, which is basically the same thing as just popping Hammond's over shield. It's not really much of a difference, honestly. But basically what you're wanting to do is use the shield once you get into position or to block stuff. It's a very small occurrence shield, and the only time you would really use it is if you need to stop ability cooldowns. So yeah, pretty basic stuff. That's all the stuff with Winston, and basically the reason why you would play Winston over Hammond is if A, your Hammond is not up to snuff, which is okay. Hammond's a very difficult character. And a lot of people, it's a lot easier to play Winston, and people are more used to the Winston. So there's not really much difference there. Yeah. So in many cases, yeah, there's issues there. So let me switch to the Hammond. So this is probably the main reason why I'm creating this, is just so that I can reference to anybody who says, hey, we need a shield tank or stuff like that. And in a lot of cases, yeah, you need a shield tank if your team is using the shield. So like, for example, if you're using this corner, let's pop into here. Trying to do the jump. What? Ah! This is what happens when I don't play for a long time. I mess up. I'm doing terrible today, honestly. Real talk, I am doing absolutely terrible. I flubbed 2 Winston jumps, and I can't get a simple Hammond pile drive jump off of the soldier. It's just sad. Let's see, I wanna actually get it. So yeah, basically in this situation, we are not really peeking. We're scouting just by wall movement. I didn't know I was on the wall there. I should have known. I was wondering why I was a little bit higher up.
Alright, well.
I'm doing terrible.
Heroes with mobility is not your day.
I know. I am just absolutely flubbing everything up. It is terrible. That was a bit better, but that was just aiming. But yeah, so we're not really needing... So let's switch to another map. What's a good map? Busan's pretty good for this. So the main point that I'm trying to get to is when you're playing, ask yourself, are we needing to get a team into position? So let's say we're running a really close range comp and we need to get a team from point A to point B. Like goats, we play Reinhardt. We get team from point A to point B. Now, on this map specifically, why would you... Which... let's do a basic guess. Garrett, I imagine you've been listening. What main tank or main tanks would be good on this map, and what main tanks would not get as much value?
This map specifically?
Yes. This exact one we're walking on right now.
Depends on how you play.
Okay. Now,
with all the sightlines and all the, well, a lot of the sightlines are blocked with this point.
mm-hmm.
So you could set up an Orisa in the back line, force them into you.
Yes. So
Reinhardt would also serve the same purpose, but be positioned a little bit more awkward.
mm-hmm. So a Reinhardt in this scenario, where do we need his shield? So I've talked about how Reinhardt's shield gets you from point A to point B. In this case, where's point A and where's point B? Where do you need the shield?
The point.
Yeah, you'd
spawn to point.
You'd basically try to move from here to the point, and that's pretty much it. Now, yes, you are getting some use out of it, but again, like, how much? It's not really that big of a deal. But for example, let's see like Orisa. Orisa, yeah, she can create like a backline and create a cover. Now, Orisa's creating cover for her team. What else is creating cover for her team? And is that needed? Basically, there's a ton of walls in a shell net, basically. There's so many walls around that you don't need... You're not going to need Orisa's barrier to establish you into position, because if you're defending the point, you can stand behind here and poke. You're not needing the barrier that bad. Barrier's nice, but you don't need it that bad. Position like right here, yeah, this can allow you, but you can also dodge around this center point. You can do the same thing up here. So, like for this point, you have that. Winston. What could Winston do on this map that'd be better than others? So the first thing we need to do when we're deciding a main tank is A. Do we need to get from point... Is going from point A to point B dangerous? Otherwise... Or other way of saying it is it difficult to get into position? If so, you'll want a Reinhardt. If you have a difficulty in finding a good position, you would play Orisa. If you're trying... If none of those and you have cover, you'll use someone like Winston or Hammond. And you'll peek around the corner like so. And you'll find a good position to jump in on, and you'll dive in on the enemy team. Or create space. And we'll cover creating space a little bit later. But,
obstacles are in the way on this map, you can peek quite easily.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of risk.
Yeah. Which is perfect. So, yeah, it's a pretty, like, safe area to look around. You're not really... I'm trying to find where you are. I saw you for a moment, and then you disappeared. Yeah, basically the idea is you have a lot of cover on this map, so therefore Winston is a pretty good idea. Because all you need to do is, every so often, you drop a bubble on the point, you prevent the team around to get healed, which is pretty good. That's really nice. In other cases, of course. Yeah, let's move over. What would Hammond do? Let's see. Come on. Come on. There we go. So yeah, Hammond in this scenario, you have a lot of cover. You have an easy way to peek. People really like underestimate like how good this peeking is, and it's literally denying ult charge from the enemy team. And then when you also think of it as well, Garrett, could you go Winston real quick? I'll meet you at your spawn. Okay. Stand next to me. Just don't kill me. Don't shoot. Just stand next to me. Okay. So if you look, Winston is a little skinnier, but is a bit taller than Hammond. And... well, no. Hammond's a bit taller. In ball form, Hammond is shorter. Now, some things that people forget is Hammond's head hitbox is a lot smaller than, than of course Winston, because it's basically the hamster's head itself. Whereas Winston's like, so it's his entire head, which is huge. So like in this scenario as well, like Hammond has a lot more health than Winston, which is good and all that stuff. So in this case, you have more sustain than Winston, because in certain situations. So 1v1, Winston has more sustain when he uses his bubble. In a multi-team scenario, Hammond has more sustain because of his overshield, or his projected barrier, or whatever you want to call it. But in a lot of cases, he's not given as much ult charge, because good teams will hit head hitboxes a lot more often. You won't run into those small, like, instances where they're just hitting a ton of body shots. Like, lower level, it'll be like, okay, head hitbox isn't that much valuable, but higher level where they're hitting the head constantly, having no head hitbox is amazing. So, just from pure sustain factor and ult charge giving, Hammond wins by far, especially since Winston's ult gives a lot of ult charge and all that stuff, and Hammond doesn't even have to look at the Winston. And in a Winston v Hammond matchup, watch this. Chase after me. Just try to run after me. Don't jump. Okay, see, and I'm gone. It's the easiest disengage scenario ever. I don't even need to use a cooldown. I just run away. So in that scenario, Hammond does actually win out on that. So it also goes into my whole campaign of why are you playing Winston? Well, it's because you're more familiar with Winston and you can get more done on Winston. Not that Hammond's better. There is an argument that I have heard quite often of, well, Sombra counters Hammond, and the answer is, well, yeah, so does she on every single other dive tank. It's amazing how much she actually counters all of them. So, like, Garrett, if you go Sombra real quick, we'll actually go through every single dive tank. Actually walk through. Oh, and another thing as well is in a dive scenario, technically, you don't really, like, Diva fills the same role as a Winston in some regards. Because, of course, you're creating space, you're denying damage, and in a lot of cases, she does help with the point A to point B movement more than the Winston does, so technically you can call Diva. So, like, see, where are you, Garrett? I actually can't see you. I can't find you. Holy crap. That was pretty good.
Here I am.
Ah, okay. Where are you? I swear to God, I can't find you. So, yeah, I'll just go to the center. Hack me and then just shoot me, pretty much. Oh, you're on the right side. I see that. Yeah, just hack me and then shoot me, and I'll try to kill you while you're doing it, and then we'll compare and contrast between Hammond and Diva and all that stuff. Okay, that was fast for me. Sorry. Go ahead and hack me. Yeah, see? That was insane. I'll let you kill me. Just kill me. Don't even hack me. There we go. Okay, let's go to Hammond so we can compare and contrast that one too.
I probably would. In all reality, a good Sombra probably would have had an escape plan. I didn't.
I'm just a little old Hammond, trying to not get killed. Don't hack me. I'm in the middle of the map. So yeah, you're gonna do basically the same thing. And I'm gonna...
Hey there. Apagando las luces.
I was close.
But yet, so far. So yeah, as you can see there, and that actually lasted for a lot longer than the whole Winston thing, and that was pretty generic. Like if you notice, nothing really changes. It's just when the Sombra runs away, Hammond actually has more effective utility on that range than the Winston. Of course, if the Sombra's standing next to the Winston, sucks to suck. They're just not going to be. Of course, if you do drop barrier, yeah, you drop barrier. That's if you're out in the open. It's a lot better to just actually shoot the Sombra than dropping your barrier as she's trying to hack you. Because that doesn't even... I'm in the middle and I'm D.Va. Now, D.Va does actually have an advantage, and it's because she can spend the entire time just shooting... Yeah, like this. So, that is an advantage. But, like... Yep, and there you go. There's effective damages. You can see that the damage that D.Va could do is actually a lot. So technically, you actually did more damage to D.Va than Hammond. Because you went through all 600 and everything. So, yeah, again, like, head hitbox does matter. I do want to test out the Winston and shield. So, trying to stop hack by shielding. See if that helps out.
Is the essence of discovery.
Yeah, so, like, the argument saying of switching to Winston because you don't want to get hacked as Hammond, it's because you actually notice it a lot more because Hammond's so mobile that when he's hacked, it hits you. It just feels worse than when you're hacked as Winston. And it's because Winston basically does the same thing and then jumps every 6 seconds. Hammond's like faster cooldown and mobility and everything. So, okay, I want to try something out real quick. Hold on. Let me get healing. So I actually want you to try to hack me at different ranges, and I want to see if I can actually stop you at all ranges with my left click. I don't know if the range actually goes out to there.
Well, I can hack you.
It's been forever since I've actually tried it, so whatever. Hold on, don't do anything. Okay.
Hold on.
Try to hack. Try to hack and get closer.
That's the first thing.
Yeah. Okay, so technically at this range, Winston can't do anything. Okay, let me wait for that. Tell me once your cooldown's back.
No, it's back.
Okay. Try to hack. Did that block it?
No.
No. Okay. So I actually want to try. Hold on. Let me get healing. I want to try to see if I can block your hack by dropping down barrier.
Oh, you mean, okay.
Yeah, so I want to interrupt your hack, and I'm not sure if it actually works. It's been a while since I've tested it.
Alright. You ready?
Okay, hold on. Get back away so I can drop down barrier. Go ahead. Did that stop it?
No, I was afraid I didn't do it in time.
Oh, shit.
Alright, let's do it.
Son of a bitch. Okay.
Well, you didn't have a good enough reaction.
So I have 5 seconds. So yeah, just go ahead and start hacking whenever. No. Let's try again, see if I can
I think it locks on.
pick up
I
a
don't
little
think
bit
you
better.
can block.
I want to see if I can get a cleaner one. Hold on. Don't hack yet. Okay, whenever.
3, 2.
Okay. I thought you were going on 3. Never mind.
Going on 3?
Yeah, you were like, okay. And then I was
I'm
like,
doing a
okay. And you were
countdown.
like 3. Oh, whatever. Okay. Go whenever.
3, 2, 1.
Again, like...
Okay, okay. I'll
Don't even count down, just do it. You're
Well,
throwing
then
me
you
off
should
on
have gotten it.
You're throwing me off on reaction with the number. Did that stop it?
Oh, you survived? Oh, hey. How about that?
It did?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a plus for Winston. Let me try again.
It's like extremely unrealistic, though.
Yeah, hack me
in
whenever.
reality.
This will
Yeah.
protect us.
Yeah, okay.
Like, what Winston is gonna have that good reaction time? Like,
Yeah.
jeez.
It's one
That's
of
like
those of
split
it's
second.
almost better to actually just try to shoot her rather than dropping the barrier. I imagine in a lot of cases dropping your barrier just so that it's down while you're hacked might be a reason, but besides that, it's kind of eh. The other thing is that Sombra, of course, counters an ulting Winston, and she doesn't even need to use her ult. That's the thing, is she does counter Hammond's ult with her own. So yeah, that's a lot more better use otherwise.
Hey, stop it. What you doing?
That's better.
I just took the health too. That was nice. So yeah, there's all that stuff, and I think we need to move on to. Technically, need to move on. Hold on. To creating space. The idea, the wonderful idea of creating space. Garrett, do you have any thoughts before we move on to creating space?
No?
Okay. Let's go to... What's a good map for space creating?
Haven't we already done that before?
Yeah, but this is in respect to main tanks. And tanks in general. We'll cover tanks. Probably just regular tanks.
Probably the best one with open space would be Junkertown.
Junkertown. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's go through which one. Arissa's a liked one on this map. Mainly just because this is where the whole pirate ship comp is you don't need to get to this position. You just need to create a protected position, and you're more able to create that position with Orisa. That's why you have that barrier. See? Reasons. As far as creating space, the idea is that you allow your team to get into that position. So many like main tanks and off tanks and all that stuff. The idea is, let's say if they're doing a spawn camping technique, then what you'd want to do is you want to get them away from the points that you can push it. It's a lot of that. And then also, what's a good example? So, I'm just flubbing everything today. Okay, so yeah, for like creating space, a lot of the ideas is that your team needs to get into position where they're not going to get killed. That's where you do that whole point A to point B and all that kind of stuff. So, for example, Garrett's standing on this cart, and if I stand on the cart with him, he can kill me a lot easier, and that's very difficult. let's say, for example, even he's holding a shield, then I can't get healing while he's doing that. Thusly, or if we're playing an Ana, the Ana can't heal through a player. And so, therefore, I die during this process. Good point. But the main idea here is that you want to create space by moving them off of it or creating a position of your own. So, like, a good example would be Orisa. Creating space with Orisa is we drop down a barrier behind the player so that while they're here, they can't get healed. And we push them off. So see, we have forced Garrett to this side so that he can get healed. We had created space for our team behind here. And then he can't get healed here, and then he just dies. See? Pretty basic stuff. Reinhardt works in a similar manner. To create space, let's say the teams hold up around this corner. We want to push them into here, and we have firepower behind me, dealing damage to them, and they need to get to cover. So they retreat to cover, and we take up that space. Oh, I just realized a map that would be really good for this. King's Row. Let's do Winter King's Row. I just realized my first strat chat was on Winter King's Row on the last event. So, like, let's say we cap first point, and this is a common thing. A team will push all the way over to basically to near spawn camping. And the reason is because we want to create space so that so like right here, that Garrett has to go farther behind in order to not get into ours, and now he's rotated around to our point, and so see, I'm creating space here because he can't exist. He has to retreat. So there's that. Let me go back to spawn so I can show different examples.
Yeah. The tanks pushing forward to their spawn. We do that a lot.
Yeah. So
let's take the first call out after taking point.
Honestly,
Pretty important.
in pretty much any map, but this map is a lot more special for that.
Especially at the end of these escort maps. That's really important.
So yeah, the whole idea of creating space for, like, Hammond, for example, is my existence here is forcing them into this corner. So, like, I forced him into this room, and now he can't shoot through me and kill my team. I pushed him into this alley, and now he's not able to shoot anyone on the point, and therefore I'm acting as a human shield in that sense. That's a lot of the ideas with the tank, is you take the damage over your allies, and the allies support you in keeping you alive. So, like, we cap this point, and I'm like, okay, let's move. I'll run this way. And I'm creating space because I am putting myself in between. So yeah, it's just kind of keeping them back. And so that's where you're like, okay, do we need a shield in this instance? Well, in some cases you do if you want to make sure that the team behind you is safe. But some characters use a little more interesting route where they're literally distracting the entire team to do it. So, like, right now, I'm body blocking, and then I'm out. So yeah, it's pretty basic there. If I did the same thing as Reinhardt, it would be very similar. So let's go to Reinhardt so I can actually explain all of that. So yeah, Reinhardt likewise, you're pushing your team into position, and the enemy team, you exert a pressure. This is all about pressure and stuff like that. Hammond exerts a pressure in many different areas at random locations, and it's hard to actually deal with. except if you stun him. So like right now, I'm creating space because the people behind me are safer behind me. See? It's pretty easy. Now we are in this position. We have created space in this position, and now in order for Garrett to take this position, can he do it as... So let's actually do... It's going to be really stupid, Garrett, and you're going to think bad about this, but go ahead and try to take my position away from me.
I've got you in my sights.
Of course you're going to ult. Should have just kept my shield
I
up.
didn't think that at all. I thought, you know,
But yeah,
I have the upper hand. I'll take it.
Yeah. The main idea, though, is 1v1. A soldier that does that will just get smashed. And it's because he'll lose healing from his team because of the barrier and everything else. It's like, boom. So here, he can't take this up. We're going around here, and the point's underneath him. We have now created space right next to him. My shield's dropping, then we have created space here. So you can do the same thing with Orisa, where you're constantly dropping the barrier. And he can't exist there unless, otherwise he just dies. So it's very difficult for him in those scenarios, and that's why he, of course, would have a Ryan of his own. So yeah, this map, good for Ryan, all that stuff, because you can go from point A to point B like so. You can go from point A to point B like so. And yeah, it's pretty basic of how that all works. Trying to think of what else for creating space. People will use like creating space and not actually explain what it means. Like, hey, you need to create space for your team. And a lot of times people will just be like, yeah, you just hold your shield and everyone stands behind you. A lot of situations there's like, so like you can create space. You're right here. You shoot them as they come by. You can knock them into your team. All that stuff. You create space in a very similar way to that Reinhardt. It's just you can't poke out that often, but you look when you poke out. So you don't have to worry about a ticking time bomb known as your shield or anything like that, which is really nice to actually have. So there's a lot of stuff that has to do with actually creating space, and in many cases, creating space has to deal with a dive as well. You want to basically take the brunt of the damage from like the soldier, and like if you're running with the tracer, you jump down, you start shooting at the soldier. The soldier's like, oh crap, and you're in his face the entire time. That's what you want to be doing, and because of that, your entire team's with you. And you're not having to get them from point A to point B because you're a dive team. You don't need that to happen. So therefore, you don't need a Reinhardt in a dive. It's really simple stuff here, but it's just the whole idea around it. So like, why would you play Winston in this matter instead? And the answer is like, you can maybe have like your shield put down, but that's only if you have a problem where you need that shield constant. So, yeah. So, like, Winston, same thing. You don't want to be using your shield to get from point A to point B. You can, but it's very brief and, honestly, quite a waste. Yeah, like here, to get in a position, we need to jump here. Boom. Stay here. Now we have to wait for all of our cooldowns to come back. Da, 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 da. We jump back up here. We've taken this position. And yeah, it's pretty...
Now look how much damage you've taken just from jumping.
Yeah, honestly. Whereas, opposed to a Hammond, let's actually test that. Because I took I took about 200 damage.
I got like 5 headshots on you.
Yeah.
Pretty.
And this is going to be an obvious answer. I could do like the butt jump, but I'm with the Winston for comparison. But I'm actually just going to fly at him, not in ball form, just to make it easy. So let's go.
Hmm?
So I'm going to actually run at you. I'm going to jump into the air and unball, and you're going to just see how much damage you can do.
Well, you were too high. I couldn't even shoot you.
Yeah, that's a lot of good point. Which is another win for Hammond.
So that was like a quarter of your health.
So about the same if I give you headshot like room, but you're still hitting the headshot. But like disengage is a lot better on Hammond. Because your cooldown is a lot faster and pretty much everything to deal with that.
I denied you the satisfaction.
I can't get no. I think right now let's open it up to questions for the live stream. Questions on anything. Do we want to cover like regular tank stuff of why you run an off tank, stuff like that?
I feel like the off tank should be with the main tank, so
Yeah.
whatever the main tank's doing, the off tank should be following.
Yeah. Basically, it's kind of like the off tanks are like escorts. So like Winston jumps in, he jumps in, boom, I defense matrix into him, we just deal a ton of damage to one target, and then we're out. So it's not really like the character, it's necessarily just the role of like the off tank is supposed to protect the main tank getting into position. Roadhog. Main reason why people will actually play Roadhog is so that they can just hook people into the team. So he's not really necessarily helping out the other
It's not
tank.
true. Because you can have Ryan. Ryan can put up a shield. He can poke someone behind the shield.
Yeah, but he's not consciously protecting the main tank. The idea is he's creating plays. Creating plays. Zarya, you are protecting your main tank. You're protecting your team as well. Dealing a ton of damage. Off tank is basically a fancy word with a merge between a DPS and a tank. That's the best way to explain it, honestly. As well as just a protector, which is pretty basic. I honestly, you can play Hammond as an off tank, and it's honestly just down to how you play him. So like in a system where you're with a main tank that's not necessarily a dive, the idea is that you basically do a similar role where you jump in and you're kind of knocking people around. Likewise, if the enemy team jumps onto your back line, you can swoop in and protect them, boom, knock them away, shoot, create space in between. So you can do that protector kind of style like the off tank does, but if you really need to, you can do, of course, like the main tank role. But yeah, let's see, anything else interesting?
That pretty much covers it.
Yeah. I don't think we have any questions in the chat. How long have we been going for, by the way? Recording for 54 minutes. Yeah, about an hour. I think the next strat chat I basically was torn between doing this one and another one. The other one's actually a lot more like of a needed topic, but yeah, screw it. There's a lot of bad tank players. but it's like utility class heroes. So like Mei, Symmetra, where their idea isn't really dealing damage, but actually just changing how it goes.
Alright.
Always deny the health back. Trying to remember. There's another thing that I needed to talk about as well. Oh, I forgot I could do a little trick there. I think otherwise it's probably going to be about it. I actually want to do a quick like jump through that whole thing, and it's not really useful, but it's fun. No. I am like holding off. I can get through that hole, but I actually want to go in there on fire. I need to hook out a lot more. Let's see if I can do this. No, that's hooking out a bit too far. I need to hook out, and I don't need to swoop up that much. I need to, like this. Yeah, I can get to there, but I actually want to go further than that. So I want to try this out. I think pretty much this video is over, but I want to see. Ah! Frickin' Mei. I think they actually fixed that bug, but in return they made everyone else freeze slower, so they had to fix that one. Yeah, otherwise I would have been frozen right then. Can you stop freezing me? I need to try to get this jump. Lag. Yeah, too true. Ah! Let's actually do it right here. I actually like this position a lot more. For anyone tuning in, I am just doing this to try to get a certain movement. I don't care of actually getting through that hole. I'm trying to figure out how to keep momentum on the other side. Lost momentum there. Ah! It's possible. I just need to... Ah! Can't keep the momentum in. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, I'll answer them. Just put them in the chat. Probably won't get any questions, so... Get there.
Alright, are we having practice tonight?
I don't know.
I don't know where everyone is with finals. Ooh, sucks to suck, doesn't
It's just a momentum killer. That's one thing they haven't fixed, is just how much momentum May kills on Hammond. It's just annoying.
it? Alright. Well, there we go.
Yep, I believe that's the end. Darn, that's the end. If anyone's watching and they want, like, to keep up to date, I do post these on YouTube. I think the last one I'm not able to post on YouTube because I lost it. Very similar to my computer issues. But besides that, hopefully I'll do another one next week. We'll figure out time and all that stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see ya. Bye!